Cinder de la Doom summons the Shadow Fiends. Chapter 3. If the truth is told, Cinder had no need to run all the way home. She didn't have to rip her favorite dress or push herself to the point where her consciousness decided it was better to hide than face reality. For the only demons chasing her at that point were her own. The girl was, however, right about one thing. She really had opened a doorway between dimensions, and something was coming through, albeit much more slowly than she'd imagined. At the same time Cinder de la Doom was sprinting out of the mausoleum, a change had come over the mirror. At first it simply looked as though the smoke from the candle was tarnishing the polished surface. But within a minute's time, scorch marks began to roil and churn, spreading across the looking glass like a soot-colored fog. When it reached the edges of the frame and could seep no further, it thickened instead, seeming to billow into the depths of the glass. Tendrils eventually snaked out of the frame and curled into the tomb, drawing shadows like a sponge soaks up water. Growing darker with every passing second, the tendrils weaved among one another, braiding the darkness into a form which looked like an out-of-focus silhouette of a man. As more and more of the fog fed into the shape, its outline became sharper and more distinct. What looked to be quills formed down the creature's spine, and its fingers elongated into curved talons. But no true details ever emerged. It was as if the thing were made entirely of darkness, without as much as the glint of an eye piercing the gloom. At the same time, it seemed to possess substance. This wasn't simply a flat one-dimensional shadow. It was bulky and large, the movement of its legs betraying the presence of powerful muscles as its thighs bulged. Stepping forward, the tendril fog connecting it to the mirror pulled taut. For a moment it seemed as if the shadow fiend would be unable to break free of the tether, but then it snapped like an overstretched rubber band, allowing the thing free rein in the world of the living. By the time Cinder de la Doom was vaulting over the picket fence, a small army had emerged from the mirror. Crammed together in the mausoleum, they writhed and twisted, their dark bodies rasping over one another in a dance older than time itself. One of the shadowy creatures darted toward the entrance, its body blurring into something which briefly looked like a skeletal bird as it zipped through the darkness. In the amount of time it would have taken a human to blink, it had changed again. Now, standing outside the mausoleum, it reverted back to its humanoid form as its head slowly swiveled toward the town in the valley below. It could smell the souls clustered in the houses and buildings. The scent of nightmares and worry wafted like rancid meat as the tang of guilt rose and fell with the wind. Suffering, regret, hatred, and despair. A veritable buffet of emotion awaited them, a feast unlike any that had for over 1,000 years. And yet, one aroma stood above the rest. Slightly musty with sharp undertones of acidic bitterness, the scent elicited a gurgling hiss from the fiend as its upturned nose sniffed the air. This was the smell of terror. Not just unease or fear, but a dread so deep that it incinerated everything else as it burned through a soul that should have been fresh and carefree. With a howl that could have been the wind moaning through the trees, the shadow fiends swarmed down the hillside. The flock of shriveled bird-like silhouettes was so densely packed that their bony wings sliced through comrades who fluctuated between solidity and streaks of soot-colored fog. They would follow the scent of terror to its source, and they would kill her. A smell like that could only come from one person, someone who had gazed into the heart of the abyss and been touched by the darkness festering there. Someone who had opened the corridor between worlds before losing their nerve and scampering away. Someone young and foolish who would now pay the ultimate price for curiosity. For the only person who could close the passage was the one who had opened it to begin with. And once the creatures had feasted upon her soul, this realm would be theirs for the taking. It looks like little Cinder actually has unleashed something. And it also sounds like that the shadow fiends that she's brought into this world are coming for her. Now she is covered up in bed at home, a defenseless little girl against an army of evil. What will become of her? Perhaps tomorrow night in Chapter 4, we'll find out. Good night.